इस साल गर्मी सारे रिकॉर्ड तोड़ रहा है।
मे महिन्यात उष्णतेचा पारा आणखी वाढणार आहे.
इंडिया की गर्मी इस साल जानलेवा हो सकती है.
In mid of April, it has started becoming so hot.
95 of the world's 100 hottest cities are reportedly in India.
India is one of the hottest nations of the country.
But what is one interesting aspect or industry which will transform the entire energy game in this entire ecosystem? Because we have seen transition of EV vehicles.
India is a very, very value sensitive,
Correct.
cost sensitive market, right? But if we get, say, an EV two-wheeler manufacturer, we will be like, sorry, we don't want to invest at this time.
Any other segment or the sector which will impact a lot in the energy sector?
For us, climate tech is central to energy and decarbonization. How can you make energy industries more energy efficient? EV two-wheeler, three-wheeler OEM ecosystem was very, very mature, and we thought it may not be the right idea to take a bet in a mature ecosystem where big players already exist. At the time, already TVS Bajaj was getting into it, and
India will need 45 years to hit net zero, and trillions of dollars, decades of patience and patient founders to achieve that goal. India will need 45 years to hit net zero, and trillions of dollars, decades of patience and patient founders to achieve that goal. Today, we have someone who are betting on these founders and this industry. Shantanu from Transition VC. Welcome, Shantanu.
thank you so much, Rishav, for having me here.
First of all, I will start with an interesting fact which I was reading on your profile, that you were born and brought up in Lagos.
Yes.
And then you came to India, and I never knew where is Lagos before today. And
Yes.
I know you from past 2 years, I think. I never knew that also, that you studied in Lagos.
Yes.
What made you ended over there? Like, then how did you came to India? And then obviously we'll talk more about that. How did you landed up to this industry specific climate tech, which is into energy transition and all?
Sure. It was barely my decision. So we moved as a family to Lagos, which is in Nigeria, in west of Africa. Back in 98 or 99, that's when my father got a job there. I was very young. I started schooling there, and a very large and thriving Indian community in Lagos. Everything Indian, right? My school was CBSE. We had Indian restaurants, Indian theaters, Indian teachers. Our papers, our board exam papers used to fly down from India in sealed envelopes with the High Commission. So everything was very, very Indian. It was India outside India. So I stayed there for about till 2012, and then I went to college in Delhi College of Engineering.
It was a mini India.
It was very much a mini India, yes. A huge Indian community there, lakhs of people, lakhs of Indians there.
And what was the geographical thing, like you since now into climate tech and all? Did you see during that time climate was evolving, like, or in terms of heat and everything? What we talk about, people were using some kind of sustainability. That time over there, it was that into function, or you saw much of the change in India?
So, Lagos and Nigeria as a nation are very, very sparsely populated. I think Nigeria as its whole population would be about less than Gujarat itself. The whole country's population would be less than Gujarat. So population density is very less. And there you don't even, and I left there honestly in 2012, by the time you don't see too much effect of climate change in Nigeria. I think I have started seeing the effect of climate change only off late. Only I think in the last 5 years is when I've seen a drastic climate change effect. And you'll notice this time around also, right? It is one of the hottest summers, and it has started already in mid of April. It has started becoming so hot. India is one of the hottest nations of the country. And this is just when as a global average, we are just 1.5 degrees warmer than average, right? This can shoot up to 2.5, 3 degrees, 4 degrees. And the honest answer is, right, that no one really knows what's going to happen when this 1.5 degrees becomes 2 degrees. And 2 degrees is just average temperature increase. The peak temperature increase can go even up to 10, 12, 15 degrees. And that can cause such devastation that people estimate typhoons, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, everything, right? But no one really knows for sure. We can all mostly agree that it's going to be very, very bad, and that is why climate change is a real problem today.
So how like India is like shifting, like since now you're working in Transition VC, which is an energy focused deep tech fund on climate tech part, and it is clearly envisioning the climate and the energy transition sector. So how is this industry, like how this industry works actually? Like what are the components founders or VCC in this industry to build something in this industry? Like, can you give us raw brief of this industry? Because people miscommunicate between the energy transition and everything related to climate tech. Like it has multiple elements under it, sub elements also,
Right.
subcategories also. If you can give a brief overview about this particular sector.
Right, sure. So, climate is very, very broad, right? And there is a very overarching theme called climate tech, and people define it very, very differently. I'll talk a little bit about how we define it. For us, climate tech is central to energy and decarbonization, and again within that, we split it up largely in three parts. One is generation of energy, one is utilization of energy, and the third is horizontal tech that sort of cuts across utilization and generation as well, something like, say, power semiconductor. You dig deeper into utilization is how can you dig deeper into generation is how can we decarbonize energy generation, right? So again, the usual suspects: renewable energy, solar, wind, hybrid. For us, large scale BESS is also part of generation because it is used to stabilize generation, the energy demand and supply gap that happens in solar peak times versus utilization requirements. So for us, BESS also comes in utilization. Then in generation, I'm so sorry, I'm saying that again and again. Then in utilization, we look at industries, we look at buildings, we look at automobile, and we look at the hydrogen economy, as these are the 3-4 key subheadings. Industrial decarbonization is a very, very key focus for us. We look at how can you make industries more energy efficient? How can you decarbonize industries? Can we have better cooling technologies, better heating technologies, better waste heat recovery solutions, better overall component efficiency? So a lot of components that go into industries like pumps, motors, welding machines, hydraulics, how can you make those more efficient? How can material sciences be made to enter into industrial decarbonization and make things more electrically efficient or thermally efficient, right? So industry is a big piece for us. Buildings, again, buildings have 2-3 major components, right? One is cooling, which is a huge part of building energy requirements, and then the other part is lighting. If you combine these two, this accounts for about 80%, 90% of energy requirement for buildings, right? How can you make cooling more efficient? How can you make lighting more efficient? And this is a whole value chain play. Are you marginally improving existing technologies with a retrofit, or are you fundamentally changing technologies? We are open to taking bets across. Automotive, again, it's a very clear bet, right? It's movement of petrol diesel vehicles to electric vehicles. Our thesis in that was, again, from a very value chain play, right? When we started investing back in April 2023, the OEM ecosystem, the EV two-wheeler, three-wheeler OEM ecosystem was very, very mature. And we thought it may not be the right idea to take a bet in a mature ecosystem where big players already exist. At the time, already TVS Bajaj was getting into it, and Ather had already a pretty strong market share. And so we took bet in subcomponents. We took bets in motors, we took bets in batteries, we took bets in chargers, which are all subcomponents of the automotive space. And similarly, we want to take bets in drones, which is also part of aerial mobility or aerial logistics for us, and through decarbonization play.
So majorly you are betting on the sub-components, if we talk about, more than finished products, like dealing with the manufacturers, OEM partners, the people building into transition, like normal motor to electric mobility kind of a thing, etc. But what is one interesting aspect or industry which will transform the entire energy game in this entire ecosystem? Because we have seen transition of EV vehicles. Now we see lot of EV vehicles, but still I think impact is there. Impact might be there on the global side, on our global warming and everything, all those aspects. But any other segment or the sector which will impact a lot in the energy sector?
Yeah, sure. There are and this is again going back to our fundamentals, right? Why do we want to invest in the climate and energy space? Is because you get an opportunity to invest in a sector when there is a fundamental shift that is happening. It could be a business model shift, it could be a technology shift, right? So there are, in our opinion, there are 4 or 5 fundamental shifts happening in this space parallelly. One shift obviously is the move from coal and natural gas and thermal power plants to renewable energy. That is one fundamental shift that is happening, and these fundamental shifts create opportunities across the value chain. Now, if you're shifting to solar, opportunities will emerge across the value chain in technology, in business, in services, in maintenance, in EPC. So all of these fundamental shifts create fundamental opportunities. The second shift that we talk about obviously is move from petrol engine, diesel engine vehicles to electric vehicles, and that is that is transforming the automotive industry and creating multiple opportunities. The third shift that we talk about, right, is a shift that not too many people are aware about, is a shift that is happening in semiconductor. It is power semiconductor were earlier very simple silicon devices, and now that shift is happening where the devices are moving from silicon to wide band gap devices, which are compound semiconductors. So these semiconductors have the ability to make your chargers, your smartphones, your telecom equipment, your inverters. These have the ability to make everything much smaller, much lighter, and much more efficient. So this is a whole technology shift that is happening. And finally, we see solar also as a very upcoming sector where fundamental shifts in technology are happening. Again, moving from typical silicon devices to your something called a perovskite solar cell, which is the new age, cutting edge solar cell technology, which can move efficiencies of solar even more than 30%. Even theoretical limits for that technology go up to even 45-46% efficiency as compared to what is today at about 24-26%. So and in each sector, right, we have identified these fundamental shifts. In the green hydrogen generation space, we invested in one fundamental shift, which is moving from alkaline PEM electrolyzers, which are your classic typical electrolyzers, to AEM electrolyzers, which are your new age, lower cost, higher efficiency electrolyzers. So we look at where the fundamental shift is happening, what is the maturity of that value chain, what is the maturity of that ecosystem, and then we try to take that bet accordingly.
So like in the broader term, like for example, when we talk about semiconductors as a whole, like we have talked about shift in the materials being used over there.
Correct.
But this has not been known, I think. Like semiconductor boom is there in the entire global market. This US and China keeps fighting on this particular thing.
Correct.
But in India, the race is far behind the global part.
Correct.
Is anyone manufacturing this kind of products in India or like globally? Like obviously India might be far behind as of now, but might implement down the line. In India, have you come across any company which are trying to build this?
Yeah, so there are, see, first of all, let me take a step back, right? When people talk about semiconductor, people immediately talk about your very highly advanced, highly specialized 2-3 nanometer processor chips that your NVIDIA uses for GPUs and your ARM uses for CPUs. So people jump to that conclusion, whereas semiconductor is a very, very wide field. It is not only the processor that NVIDIA is making, right? Semiconductor has processors, then semiconductor has memory, semiconductor has power, and then semiconductor has ancillaries, resistors, capacitors, and your smaller equipment. Across this value chain, right, there is a whole lot of opportunity. It isn't that if I'm talking about semiconductor, I have to directly only compete with NVIDIA. I could be making a more advanced power pack or a power module. And these power modules, right, semiconductor power modules, they account for 30% of a motor controller's cost, 40% of an inverter's cost. So they're very, very high value goods and are used in bulk across industries, in defense, in mobility, in telecom, in pharma, in robotics, everywhere these are used. So there are multiple entry points that someone can take into the semiconductor space, and it is not just about that small niche where billions and trillions of dollars are being poured in. I think a lot of interesting work is happening from a India standpoint. There are again, you'd be surprised, right? India is, from a design perspective, semiconductor design perspective, India has about 20 to 25% of the global workforce that sits in India. So from a semiconductor design perspective, India is very, very strong. Going forward, right, India has become very, very strong from an OEM perspective, applications, products, manufacturing perspective. India is very, very strong, but that missing link of semiconductor fab across, right, power, across memory, across processor is there. Further that value chain, an OSAT layer, which is the assembly layer of semiconductors, is coming up, is very, very strong in India. Just that fab piece is still missing, which we're all pretty positive that it'll come up in India pretty soon.
Interesting. So these are so many things like we see, but you are from a VC lens, because you will be talking to so many founders. And this is not something like a consumer market that you're building something. This is the TG you're going to sell to this particular people and how you can sell. It is not that simple. When a particular, any founder or any engineer today comes to you saying that I am building something into deep tech, more of a clean tech or energy transition, what are a couple of aspects you see? Because I'm pretty much sure that they might not be coming to you at a product stage.
Yep.
Because people can't build products so quickly. It requires a lot of R&D,
100%.
Too much of research, too much of testing and all, everything is required. So what is that particular thing which you see in a particular idea or a founder before you start speaking to them? Because you need to speak with them. You need to give a lot of time to them, because you cannot ask traction on day one
100%.
as a VC.
100%.
So what is that particular angle which you see in a founder and a particular idea?
Right. No, very good question, right? We invest at pre-revenue stages also. We don't do it very often, but we have invested at an idea stage as well. And we invest from pre-seed to maybe even a series A, even growth stage investing is what we do. At an early stage, right? See, we invest into tech-led manufacturing, IP-led manufacturing, a lot of deep tech companies in this climate energy decarbonization space, right? So by default, the founders that come to us are technically sound. They are engineers, they are sometimes PhDs, and they are very, very sound with their product. And if they're coming to us, right, even if they have an idea in that space, it typically so happens is that they would have at least spent 10 years in the industry building something or the other, maybe from a research perspective or as a design company or something like that. What we look for in a founder and in a technical founder specifically is, do they have the ability to build a business, right? Because again, in the end, we are investing in ventures that can grow, that can scale, and that can give us that multiplier. So engineers is typically the fundamental requirement of building something in tech-led manufacturing. But does that engineer come with business understanding? Does that engineer come with market understanding? Does that engineer come with customer understanding? Does that engineer have the ability from a mindset and a technical skill set perspective to quickly pivot, quickly modify his product and take customer inputs, right? For us, customer is God. It's not like we are going to tell him what to make. We are VCs. We don't know what to make anyway. So it's all about the customer. Does he have the ability to pivot? Is he willing to listen to customer viewpoints? Or is he in love with the product and not willing to listen to what the market is? Does he understand very, very simple metrics like market size, right? If the market size, if he might be building a fantastic product, but if the market size is just say 200 crore, it's not a VC investable business. So basic things like that. And obviously we do our tech diligence and product diligence and everything, but in these sort of scenarios where there's a product that is ready or it's at an idea stage, what we primarily focus on is customer diligence. And we would really appreciate it that if a founder comes having spoken to multiple customers. So I always say, right, even if your product is at an early stage, even if you're at an idea stage, it still doesn't stop you from speaking to customers. You can build something virtual. You can say, this is what my product will look like. This is what my product has features, specifications. This is my cost. And go to a customer with, say, virtual presentation and say, boss, this is what it is. Would you be willing to buy it? And mostly people will say yes, but some people might actually give you solid inputs on no, on why not, and things like that. So,
and moreover, like how it can save your cost also and increase your business, because that's the angle which every business is looking nowadays. Someone pitching to me also some kind of AI product today, I say, well, how it will increase my business.
Correct.
Only question I have. Similarly, it is with every sector.
Correct. So it's and that way India is a very, very value sensitive, cost sensitive market, right? It doesn't matter if your product is increasing efficiency. It needs to save costs in also. One way or the other. And sometimes saving efficiency, improving efficiency might be important. Sometimes it might not be important also. And that is something only a customer can tell you. So customer validation, customer feedback, market understanding is some of the key things that we look for in a founder, assuming obviously that they have the technical capability, technical skill set already present with them.
But as a VC, actually, in this particular, when we deploy funds in such kind of startups, the gestation period is very much larger, actually. It cannot have 5 years, 7 years. It's mostly, I think, 8 to 10 years at times, and more beyond that. It is not fintech or consumer market of 3 to 7 years, what we see on an average in the market.
Absolutely.
People are scared of putting money, like more of the people who are very return sensitive or like ROI driven kind of investors or LP. They are very much sensitive enough to that I need not put money in this sector because it might give me returns after 10 years as compared to with the booming industries, consumers, AI or the fintech of India actually. How, like, it is difficult for a VC to keep in mind that you keep your investors also happy in terms of that, yes, the fund is performing well and the things are going well, we have a future towards it, and the type of people you want along with you so that they believe in the idea, because it cannot be done via one person. As I said, if we need more founders, we need more investors in this sector.
Correct.
Then only this sector can grow as a whole, and that is where actually.
No, so you're right? Typically, deep tech companies have a very long gestation period and gestation to market, right? And so as an investor, you should be very, very cognizant of what you are investing into and how far commercialization or how far revenue generation is for you. Because a deep tech company, from a valuation and time perspective, follows a very typical exponential growth pattern. For a lot of years, valuation will remain more or less flat because they'll be building. And then at the point when that science and R&D converts into an actual product and starts generating revenue, that's when the valuations will exponentially increase. And that's for a VC, that should be the sweet spot of when to invest as to when they're commercializing or almost at commercialization stage. So when we're evaluating a technology, right, and you have to look at this from a technology lens, you have to look at it from a market maturity lens, you also have to look at it from a founder ability lens. How far is this company from maturing into a revenue generating company? And we typically want to take a bet where revenue generation is not further than 12 to 18 months away. And once you take that sort of a bet, right, your return expectations are very, very high. Like I have seen companies in my portfolio that went from zero revenue 1 year to 90 crores in revenue in the next year, right? So it's all about, even in deep tech, right? Deep tech can be a very solid VC play. It is about timing your investment. It is about entering the company at the right time. If I would have invested, and this company obviously is, deep tech is not an overnight success. It's not like they went from zero revenue 1 year to 90 crores revenue in the next year. It's not like they were working only for 1 year. They've been working at that technology for the last 10 years. And the founder before that has had about 20 years of experience in the field. And that's the amount of time it took him to go from zero revenue to 90 crores revenue.
How usually the like young founders are getting into it, like fresh college graduates? Like I've seen they're entering into space tech technology a lot. I see fresh graduates from many colleges in India have entered into space tech technologies. But into this particular, have you seen like fresh graduates from colleges studying in third year, fourth year of engineering and passed out like 1 year, 2 year? Are they entering much into this sector?
Again, don't get me wrong. I'm not against, as a fund, we're not against young founders. But what has happened, right? And this is just by default. We haven't planned it like this, but all of our founders, I wouldn't say all, but most of our founders are people that come with at least 10 years of industry experience. Kyunki, I don't know, it seems like in a lot of our companies, most of our founders are 10, 15, 20 years experience, even up to 30 years of experience. We feel it takes that much time to understand deep tech, to understand technology, to understand R&D and manufacturing, and then scale. I'm not saying a young founder will not be able to do it. He sure would, and there are advantages that a young founder has over an experienced founder. But an experienced founder comes with a lot of benefits, comes with a lot of maturity, comes with a lot of understanding, and maybe we are, I wouldn't say we're biased, but somehow we have tended to take bets on very, very mature founders. I don't discourage young founders at all, but somehow it has happened that we've not taken a bet on a very young founder.
Interesting. And there also might be a scenario like, for example, today you have invested in some company which is into idea or MVP stage. They might, while they research, there might be a scenario that their product gets changed over the time 100%. And their offerings change over the time, and it might be in a good way also. 100%. Sometimes it become disaster also. 100%. The thing which you invested in become entirely opposite what it is coming now.
Correct, yeah.
How often it is, and how a founder is tackling into this, and how VC sees in this particular scenario, because this is very important aspect where people need to understand that what we build today, in 5 years down the line, I might build something very opposite to it.
Correct.
How the VC and founders react to this?
So VCs typically don't react very well to this. And see, this thing that I say, right? I think pivoting is a great idea. When a founder is pivoting, right? See, you must also always understand, as a VC, we are betting on the founder. And especially at an early stage, when the company has nothing, there is no product, there's no revenue, or very little product, very little revenue, it's essentially the founder that you're betting on. The founder is living that company day in and day out, and the founder has had experiences in the market that tells him that pivoting will be the right idea. As a VC, our job is to sit and brainstorm with the company, ask him difficult questions, ask him why he's doing things like that, but always support the founder. Because we as a VC, we are generalists, we are not technologists, we are not industry experts, we are not people that know how to build, manufacture, sell anything. So we should always take a step back, understand we have bet on the founder, and we should always promote, support the founder in what he's doing. enable the founder, ask him difficult questions, ask him how he's going to do it, why is he doing it, ask him annoying and stupid questions. But in the end, it is not the VC's decision, and we should always be comfortable with we should always support what a founder does, because the founder has far more experience and understanding. To a founder, I would say, don't pivot too much too often, and don't even slow down pivoting. There is always a sweet spot, and everything should be driven by direct customer responses, and couple that with scalability, because 10 different customers are also at times going to say 10 different things. You have to see what is the common denominator in what those customers are saying and what I can scale. So pivoting is good. Pivoting means that you're going with the flow of what the market is saying, what the market demands, and you are not going to be another Kodak or a Nokia. Nokia and Kodak, in my view, are prime examples of not pivoting when a pivot should have been done. So that was very, very positive and supportive towards that.
Very interesting take, because I always see like deep tech focused fund. Like I have friends in Capital A also, Mela also, Transition. You are there. Whenever I speak to any of you, you guys are very much focused. Either you guys are doing some kind of a research, you guys are studying, you're talking with the founder, you're spending your time with the founder. You're not in hurry. That what I have seen, and not around the buzzwords. So what is what happens in this entirely? Like what makes you guys so focused? Like, because obviously I know you as a person. Whenever I speak to you, you give me very prompt replies. It is not कि कर लेंगे, देखते हैं, I will see. If we are not doing something, you say कि हाँ नहीं हो पाएगा, बाद में करेंगे. So I see the clarity of thought, like in this entire deep tech market itself. I have seen, be it founders or moreover VCs, I have seen, they have very clarity of thought. Like what it takes to bring such clarity, because I know it's a patience game, and lot of research. And what is one thing which keeps you driving to this clarity and towards the things which you do?
Right. See, there's no simple answer, right? We're always it's a very, very thesis oriented play, right? And see, and I'll always give the example of mobility. When we wanted to invest in mobility, we started off with very blue sky thinking. Ki what is mobility? Karna kya hota hai? What are the options? There is 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler, 4-wheeler. There is buses, trucks. There are drones, eVTOLs, blah blah blah. All of that is there. And then we have a certain thesis that we want to invest in invest and exit potentially in 5 to 6 years. We can extend, but that should be our ideal target. It can be longer than that, but we target about 5 to 6 years. When we do that, we look at the complete value chain from a maturity perspective and from a technology white spaces perspective, and that's what we call our thesis. Obviously, there are things like what is the policy angle there, what is the economic angle there, blah blah blah. Obviously, all of that is there. Then when we look at maturity, then we look at technology, and then we try to stick to what we say. So again, very early on in the fund life, we took a bet. We sort of and this is not something public, but we decided internally that we're not going to bet on vehicle OEMs, right?
Okay.
A lot of money was going into vehicle OEMs 2023, 2024. We thought it's very difficult to survive. There is not too much of a technical edge that you can have. There's not too much of a defensibility that you can have. And Ather has already done major of the work from a sub-component level to build a very, very nice vehicle.
Correct.
So the room to improve on an Ather or the room to improve on existing vehicles already there is limited. And then we saw that the sub-component space is empty, right? Motors are still coming from outside, batteries are still coming from outside, chargers are still coming from outside, and that's when we sort of deep dive into that market. We spoke to a bunch of motor companies, a bunch of battery companies. We weren't happy with the tech level, what they were doing. And then we decided ki, yeah, this is the sort of sector that we want to play, and this is what we want to invest in. And this is what we call our thesis. Now, a lot of times the companies that we get inbound, right? And no offense, but if we get, say, an EV two-wheeler manufacturer, we will be like, sorry, we don't want to invest at this time, because we've already sort of made up our mind. We'll do a quick check on the deck. We'll understand what it's doing. It'll broadly fit into our thesis. So we are very, very fast to build conviction there. So, and obviously we'll be happy to be surprised. Like, one of our companies, they do RF mesh solutions for smart meters, right? We never included that as part of our thesis, but when that came to us, we read about it, we saw that as an opportunity. We're like, yeah, this makes sense, we should do this deal. But when something is in our thesis, and which mostly it is because our job is building a thesis in climate and energy, we're very, very quick to react whether we want to deep dive further, invest in this space or not, because we come with a lot of background understanding. We've spent a lot of time reading, learning about this space. Our portfolio, now we have about 18 portfolio companies in the space. We get a lot of inputs from our portfolio as to what's happening
in the market.
And a lot of times we use our portfolio as our advisors. We're looking at this space, tell us what are your views, and adjoining sectors, right? If someone is working on, say, inverter, solar inverter, we will ask him what is happening on the solar cell space also. They would be better aware than we are. So we take a lot of inputs, keep building a thesis, and our thesis is not set in stone. Happy to change it, always happy to be proven wrong. But yeah, because we come with that amount of understanding and flexibility, we have the ability to take rapid decisions.
Interesting. So out of 18 portfolios, definitely all are amazing. Any two good, I would not say good, interesting use case where the company was building something, where you met the founder, you betted upon them, like the journey of that, if you can say, like how that two investments happened, turn out. Any one or two will be great, because obviously 18 we can't speak all together.
Correct.
But
yeah,
any one or two interesting, because there's a story.
Yeah.
When you meet a founder, to understand and to invest in that particular company.
Correct. So, yeah, I'll talk about Common, right? And this was the company that I was giving the example about. They're an overnight success that took 10 years to build. So that's the company that I was talking about, right? The founders, Amarjeet and Vikas, are very, very experienced. They've spent 25 years in this industry in various forms, in various shapes, in various roles in India as well as globally. And they understand the technology so deeply. They are into RF mesh communication solutions for smart meters. So the first target application they have is the smart energy meters, which is a 250 million unit outlay, right? India has decided to deploy 250 million smart meters, and that 250 million number itself is going up. It's gone over 300 million as well. So they build the RF communications, which significantly reduces OPEX, because you have to put one SIM card for 50 smart meters, as opposed to typical 2G connectivity solutions where you have to put one SIM card for each smart meter. So they drastically reduce OPEX cost and increase reliability, increase uptime, and all of that. They scaled from zero revenue in 1 year. That was the year when we invested. They were pre-revenue. To now, last year they clocked 90 crores in revenue. And that's what I say, right? This might look like sudden success. This might look like overnight these guys have become the dominant solution out there. But it's not overnight. It took the founder most of his career to understand the technology, to understand the market, to understand the product, certification, standards, offtake, who's the customer, who's the consumer, what is the positioning. It took him decades to understand that, and that's why he was able to do this, build this company out in a few years. And this is also the fact about timing that we say, right? You have to enter as a VC. You have to optimize your timing, because deep tech has its own trajectory. It's not going to change too much because of you, right? So you have to understand what is the right time to invest into a company, and then wait for that exponential growth to sort of kick in.
I think I need to invite Amarjit next then.
In fact, you should. He's very close to your office in HSR. He's just next door.
Okay.
So,
Interesting. So any other company which has a similar, I won't say similar because everyone has a different story altogether. Anything which was very interesting on the founder's perspective and how company took over, like many things ups and downs might have came into that particular journey.
yeah, absolutely, right. So another company that I'd like to talk about is Dynolt. It's a very interesting journey. Dynolt does software-defined power converters for swapping stations, onboard chargers for two-wheelers, three-wheelers, off-board chargers, and they're getting into solar inverters and BESS systems as well. Again, the journey is very, very interesting, right? The founder had his own design company. Again, soft power converters design company, which he ran for about 8 to 10 years. He worked with all of the big names in the industry: BHEL, Grundfos, Mitsubishi, Cummins. He designed power converters that go into the Vande Bharat trains, the electrical architecture. All of that is designed by the Dynolt team. And again, what he finally decided was that design companies, services companies aren't scalable. They don't make too much money. The sort of work that I put in, my designs aren't valued as much, and I don't make the amount of capital that I should be making for the amount of effort that I do. So now I will turn into a through and through product company. And that's when we got to them. They were at about 1 or 2 crore rupees, 2 or 3 crore rupees revenue, very, very early days. They had some products which they've given samples out into the industry. And again, right, we looked at the experience that the founder comes with. He understands so many markets. He understands so many technologies. He ran his own organization for 7-8 years as a design firm, and he trained so many people. Another very interesting quality about Dynolt was that power electronics is such an upcoming industry like power electronics, and he was able to retain 100% of his talent. His CXOs, the next in line after him, not even one person has left the organization for 7-8 years, sitting in Bangalore, which is a huge deal, right? So, and then he got into the product business. We invested in them, and last year they did about 27 crores in revenue. This year they're targeting about 80-90 crores in revenue. So again, these successes don't happen overnight. These are because the founder comes from so much experience, knows how to design, develop, knows how to manufacture, knows who the customer is, knows what the customer wants, is very, very connected in the industry. And again, this is charger is an industry where it is not given enough attention. It's a lot of these chargers, most of these chargers that are used in the EV industry today are still imported in some shape or form. Either the technology sits outside or the whole product itself is imported and assembled in India. So the tech IP play in India was missing, and we see power electronics as a horizontal, right? Power electronics can go into solar, can go into wind, can go into hydrogen, can go into automotive. And we wanted to bet on the best team, the best company that has capabilities in this space. So finally we invested in Dynolt.
I think Dynolt also I need to invite them.
He
They also based on Bangalore?
Also based in Bangalore, very close by. Okay. Not HSR, but Whitefield, yeah.
Okay. Whitefield is nearby only.
Yeah, not very far. So yeah. These
Super
are some of the
interesting.
interesting founders.
Super interesting. Now, obviously, rest 16 others also might be doing super interesting things down the line. And the more interesting aspect which I understood from these two startups is like we don't hear all these things daily. What I hear is today sitting in HSR is AI. Only thing AI. Like we talk about the questions what will happen down the line in 5 years. But I will talk you on an alternative questions to this. What will happen to this industry when we want to achieve net zero as a overall, and in upcoming 10 or 5 years as a VC, as a founder, as an ecosystem as a whole, what will happen to this industry?
We need to take net zero far more seriously than we're already taking it. See, because again, we go back to our thesis, right? Decarbonization, solving for carbon emissions, solving for temperature rise, solving for energy efficiency. all of this is a hardware problem. AI can only do so much. AI can tell you at max, AI can tell you what to do, but it then has to be done with physical hardware, physical equipment. There is only so much software optimization that AI can do for decarbonization. That could be amounting to what, 10, 15, 20%, but 80% of decarbonization is a hardware problem. Carbon capture needs to be done physically through a hardware, through a solution. Energy efficiency, EVs need to be physically deployed. So going forward in the next 5 years, 10 years, I see importance of carbon emission reduction, decarbonization, energy efficiency increasing significantly. And with the AI boom, right? AI is adding to the carbon emission problem. AI, more than reducing, AI is guzzling energy, drawing so much more energy as any other application. And because they're drawing energy, and that energy today is coming from non-renewable sources, AI in fact in a way is adding to the carbon emission problem. So which makes companies like this actually working towards decarbonization far more efficient, far more important. So I would say the value, the importance of these companies is just going to keep on increasing. Every year, the awareness, the importance that goes into the climate change agenda, the carbon emission agenda is increasing. Even this year, it's already on the rise because people are feeling so hot sitting in April in India.
And that too in Bangalore.
That too in Bangalore. Bangalore as a city has, I think, never seen 38 degrees.
Yeah.
And we're at 38 degrees today.
Correct.
So yeah, all of these problems are because of climate change, and all of the companies that we invest in are fundamental IP technology that is reducing carbon emissions. So the importance, value of these companies is definitely going to go up in the coming years.
With this, like, thank you so much, Shantanu. It was great speaking with you. Like, obviously, this is much needed topic today because people need to understand more about how to save the environment, not about how to reduce the temperature, but control the temperature, because reduce is very far again.
Very far.
Like,
Let's stop it from increasing.
Yeah, at least control it actually. So, and more founders need to build this, and out coming from the aspect that it will take a lot of time. I also meet a lot of deep tech founders, but one thing which I see is lack of patience, which in majority of people I see that they think that it's a one-day game or a 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. It's like 10, 20 years kind of a game altogether.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, and I hope that this sector will grow, but people will understand more about it, the importance of it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, Rishav.